Hi everyone, this is my first 2024 do-it-yourself Halloween tutorial. This video could also be entitled, If It Was Easy, Everyone Would Do It. This has been the most challenging Halloween prop I've ever had to do. What you're seeing right now is my haunt of 2023, where about a couple of units were not functioning properly. The animation was not functioning properly, and this is why since then I took up welding, because it is actually welding that saved my flying ghost. My friend Pierre was so nice to come over from 2-hour drive to help me out finalize the connection between the motor and the wheels so that he could just weld it, and it took him just a few minutes, and that completely convinced me to take up that knowledge to learn how to weld. This video is not about welding. I just want to get things clear. I'm just telling you that whenever you have moving props, such as this one, it is actually supposed to be moving from left to right to guide the guests towards the garage. It wasn't moving because the wiper motor got disconnected from the spine. So since then, I have welded it and I've modified the prop. And as you can see from the pumpkin monster also, which is in the middle of the two garage doors, the pumpkin monster's head is supposed to also be turning from left to right. But the nut in between got loose, and it was barely moving at all. So I have resolved the situation. I have welded it, so now the head is stuck to the wiper motor, and it will be working just fine in 2024. One thing I want to tell you about the Flying Ghost project is it is a very challenging project, but let me tell you something, it was a huge success during this hunt. So yeah, the biggest lessons you learn are always from the biggest challenges you have. And if you want to have less challenges, please check out the YouTube videos about welding. I'm going back to it. It is the solution for any of your wiper motors issues. Take note that I have a lot of tutorials on my channel, including this witch that you just saw with the crystal ball, the skeleton, the moving skeleton that I've modified since then, because now it's not sitting on a chair but rather sitting on a tombstone. Also the pumpkin monster, it's got a very extensive do-it-yourself tutorial, and also on the cauldron witch that you will see. This prop, by the way, I've kind of retired it. It wasn't moving. It was sleeping during the whole time during my haunt of 2023. So I said, you know what? Okay, you've paid your dues. You worked hard all your life. Now it's time for you to retire. So you see the cauldron witch right now. The the content of the cauldron is supposed to be turning round and round, and it is not. It got stuck. So it's part of the do-it-yourself process, I guess. But again, welding is very often a very good solution, and it is a lot simpler than you think. And the machine that I have actually plugs into regular 120 volt current, and the machine itself cost me like $150. So when you consider the prices of props, including the ones that you just saw from Distortions Unlimited, I find that the investment in a welding machine is really worth it. Just make sure you've got the right environment to use the welding machine in, because it could be very dangerous with the sparks. So enjoy the video, and hopefully it will inspire you to be doing the same project with your future haunt. And please do not hesitate to comment below because I would like to have you share your experiences with wiper motors and how to secure them to your props whenever it's for a heavy duty application. So enjoy the video and let me know. I really seriously went overkill with this. I've used these 4-inch, I think it's 3/8 bolts with the 3/8 nuts, and these major brackets. 1, 2, the back of the prop is right here, so that's where it's going to be attached. That it's the front of the prop, because this section right here is meant so that the wheel actually rests on this. The wheel is connected on a similar 3/8 nuts, whatever you call it, bolt, but it's not actually, it doesn't go all the way through from the bottom part of it. The bottom part of it actually rests so that the hole that is on the bottom part is smaller than the head, so that it rests on there and it can turn freely while staying in place. Of course, if I really jerk on it, it's gonna come out of it, which I guess is not a bad thing. But this is what this part is about. And also very importantly, and that's why my first try didn't work out, is, so imagine that the 12-foot post will be here in the back. This is the front of it. I was fed up with cutting metal and I wanted to decrease the weight in the front end, so I decided to use this piece of wood. Because when the number one problem, well, there's two main problems, but the number one problem of this prop is that when the wire comes in, you want to have something just like a chairlift that guides the wire and brings it in, otherwise inside the wheel. Because the main problem that I had last year is no matter how tight my wire was, it would sometimes hit the edge right here and it would come out, and it would be really highly frustrating. I bought the rollers too big. You know when it's Amazon, when you order through Amazon, it's, you don't know what size it is, and when I saw them I said, whoa, this is so big. And as you can see, there's this nut on both sides. So this here is meant to guide the wire and for the wire not to hit the nut that is there. So hopefully, I think it should work. Hopefully the wire will go here and it'll be guided through there. I don't think there's a need on putting it on the other side, but there's definitely a need to put it on the other end of the prop, definitely on the opposite side. Well, actually it's going to be on the same side, so that the wire can be guided appropriately into the wheel. So this is a 21-inch wheel from a bike that I wasn't using. That was in relatively good condition still. And I decided to go all in with metal, what is that, 2x4s, hollow 2x4 metal pipes, or, what do you call them? Yeah, metal pieces like this. I'll put as you can see, it's hollow. One more issue that you have to consider, which is huge issue. This is the issue right here. This is a 12-volt wiper motor. And as you can see, I put a slant here. I cut it into diagonally here so that I could have access to that nut. Because the nut here is the main problem, because the screws could become undone. And it does happen once in a while. So I put epoxy glue inside, but that might not be enough. So at least I have access to those screws. So now I'm going to continue working on the other end of the prop. So that first part that I've just showed you is pretty much finished, except from the paint job. But the word finished does not apply with do-it-yourself Halloween props. It's always all the time, like troubleshooting, constant troubleshooting. And this is a high maintenance prop, troubleshooting. And that's why As I said before, that's why I use the heavy duty materials, so that hopefully whatever I can control is settled, meaning the strength of the prop itself. But your chain is as strong as its weakest link, and there are weak links. So let's get started.
Hold it very firmly, because it could jerk back.
Turn it upside down. There you go.
Hot.
I just don't want to play around with this wheel. So I'm gonna make a hole here, and I want to keep the wheel pretty much as is. So as you can see, it's pretty much a perfect fit, and it's going to be, this is going to be tied up into this hole here. So that's why there's room, so hopefully it's not going to wobble. You know what, I'm doing this because I don't want to lose momentum, and it might or might not work. And I think it's going to work. Always double measure. As you understand, this will be coming this way and then this way. Because I don't want to lose any of the bearings inside of this wheel, I want this wheel to turn really freely and easily. This is the front of it, and there's going to be a post coming this way. So how will I attach this part on the post that will be going in this direction? I will be putting a hole here, but I need to access this. So there's going to have to be an opening right here on top so I can have access to this. Okay. Yeah, it is very heavy. So I open this up, and there's the other end where the wheel locks. So now I have full access to the wheel to undo it. And it's all the original bearings that make it turn. And it turns perfectly, just like a bicycle wheel. And you see how sturdy it is? I know the prop is heavy, but I think it's gonna work out. And it's pretty well lined up. It's just another bracket that I found at my hardware store that I bent it so it stays flexible. For my post, I actually dug it up by hand. I can't go any further because my land is full of crap that they filled in when they built the neighborhood. So as you can see here, there's a piece of asphalt, and there's rocks, and there's even bigger rock at the bottom, so I'm stuck. It should be fine. It's a 26 inches deep hole, and thank God I did it by hand and not with a drill, one of those drills for digging holes for posts. I don't know how you say that in English, because that is my irrigation tube. Thank God I did it by hand, which I highly recommend you to do. And I did buy this 41-inch bar, which became very useful to loosen up the dirt. And I just put the dirt gradually into a bucket like this, which I emptied in a wheelbarrow, and I'll decide where to put that dirt in my yard. And now I'm cutting the proper length, considering the fact that I put gravel at the bottom of my hole for drainage. So I cut this part here in order to fit my hole, because I have a rock that is in the way that I can't remove, as you can see right here. So let's see how this works. And was recommended to me by the guy at Rona. Makes sense. It's for post. That's why it's called post mix. I already have 3.5 liter of water in this, and I'm gonna gradually mix the content of this. I get a little bit less than 3.5 liter of water. My working time is only 30 minutes. So 30 minutes to do 2 sets. So gotta work fast. Inside and mix it with my drill. And just do it right away. God, this is pretty heavy. Let's do this. Now, I've covered this part because that's going to be the part that's sticking out of my J-bolt. Let it. On this beautiful day of August 18th, it's been about, I don't know, 36 hours since this has dried up. And there's some cement there, but I've decided to fill the rest up with 1/4 inch rocks. And quite frankly, that's not going to go anywhere. And it's going to help out with the drain. And I'm going to fill up with a little bit of dirt. And I've saved up the original grass patch so that it doesn't show too much. And yeah, it should be just fine for until Halloween. I'm just going to be protecting this here with WD-40 or Vaseline or something to make sure it doesn't rust. I don't want it to rust. But I don't want to have any problems with my lawnmower or anybody stepping on this thing. I bought 2 treated wood 12 feet tall poles that I painted black, obviously. And later figured out that, oh my goodness, those props are way too heavy. I can't bring them up the step ladder, even though it's a tall step ladder. It's too heavy to bring up 12 feet. So I had to shorten them up to, I think they are now 9 feet tall. And I was just about to install it. And then I realized that my wheel, I had left the inner tube inside. I had cut it to make sure that this stayed in place so that it could create friction for the wire to turn the wheel. And but this was stretched out and it was overlapping and it was bending. Then I decided to, you know what? Let's put in some Flex Seal, which is a liquid rubber. So I'm applying it in small layers, small layers. The wheel's not turning because it's rubbing against the table right now. A foam applicator, and just dab it in. I don't need to have a thick layer. I almost had a big accident putting this up by myself. Had to hoist it up on my shoulders. Strongly recommend you do it with 2 people. As I'm editing the video, I realized that I didn't have footage on this specific hook that I screwed in the post, and I did that on both posts. Extremely important. And to that hook is a wire, a metal wire that is attached to it, just for additional security, just in case something would happen where a kid or an adult would pull on the wire because the posts were a bit shorter than expected. And also, this metal wire is attached to the fence that is behind the post, and it's also tightened by this winch, which is a clothes hanger winch, in order to tighten up that wire. And that also enables you to tighten up the actual wire on which the ghosts are traveling with. So that clothes hanger wire, because it will enable you to pull on both sides the post to tighten up that wire, and also to ease the installation of it. So make sure you do that. So I realized also that once this was up, it wasn't straight against the pole that is on the opposite side. I banged the side of this just to turn it a wee bit, maybe a centimeter counterclockwise. So I used a big piece of leftover cut off that I had from this post, and with a big hammer I just banged it so I could turn it counterclockwise again for about 1 centimeter. And now it looks straight. And now I have to put the other piece like this, but the motor, so it's going to be a bit heavier. I'll see if I can do it by myself. By the way, this post was not straight, so I had to move that one, but this was much easier because I had cut off the bottom part of the plate that holds it up, which gave me the opportunity to have access to the screw that holds this bracket to the cement post. Now, I don't have that accessibility, so I will need to cut it, because there's no way that I'm undoing my post completely. So I will have to cut this part from the other post so that I can have access. And how I'm going to do this? With my rotor zip grinder. So I did it with my grinder. Took out this part. So now I have just passed the wire and guided them through those rollers. Thank God for the rollers, and thank God they are there for both sides, because I think, and as you can see, I put the masking tape there to hold the wire. I think it's going to make so much easier, and I'm hoping that it works. So now I have to tighten up the other end. So this definitely helped me out, holding the thread together. And now I'm sharing with you guys Another big step for Eric's various creations. Cutting the ribbon, cutting the umbilical cord. There you go. I am seeing an issue here. I've miscalculated the length of this post. So the wire, when I put it here, it kind of goes on the other side. So I have to rectify that. It's just a matter of making extra holes or just re-drilling it on top. Just realized the same issue is here, so I have to move the roller a little bit to the side. So I just shortened this arm, as you can see from the damage here, so that it falls perfectly under the roller. And now I'm gonna test this out for the very first time. I am scared and excited at the same time. So I am testing out the project for the first time. The little thing to note is I'm too eager. I should connect the motor to a controller, a dimmer, put it at the minimum, and then increase it to the maximum. But I'm too excited. Let's see if it works. I'm bringing you guys closer. That's the seam. No, stop it. Something happened. Oh. Aha! This is it. That's the culprit. This thing is, in French we say tourne dans le beurre. This part undid, became undone, so I have to tighten it up. So I did tighten it again and added the epoxy paste that's supposed to hold, but the epoxy paste might be good for a coffee mug, but it's certainly not good for this type of heavy duty requirement. Those two ghosts, they add a lot of pressure to the line, but this is the way I held the two ends together, and that is really not a problem. Beware, because the ghosts, when it rains, the rain certainly adds a lot of weight to them. So if it is raining during Halloween, it's better to have a lighter version of those ghosts. We are now Monday, and it's going to be next Tuesday. So I'll leave it like that for now. What I found useful and necessary in my specific situation is to add two refrigerator wheels, one on both sides of the post, in order to stabilize the bicycle wheel. This way it keeps it at a certain angle, and you can adjust it with the nut that attaches the wheel to the bracket. Thank you for staying all the way to the end of the video like this. But this is not quite the end, because it is presently August 1st, 2024, and I'm still working on this project. And I have to tell you the updates that I figured out in the past couple of weeks that are extremely important. First of all, I think I've told you from the very beginning that the solution in order to keep In order to keep the motor attached to the wheel is through welding. So this is a coupler, a regular 3/4 inch coupler of screws. So it is welded here and here. So that is the solution. And this weld actually held the entire evening during Halloween. The only issue about this is that that's it. You're stuck to the wheel. You can't change the wheel in case you want something thicker. But I think it should be fine. What did happen in the course of the evening is that the wire became undone. So the rollers that I had were not appropriate. So this is hopefully the mechanism that will work. The main thing that I wanted to share with you is this apparatus, which I think should work well. So you see this nut here, and I did this on both sides. And I did this not only for this end with the motor, but I also did the same situation, the same mechanism for the other end of the prop, the one that doesn't have the motor. So this is in order to adjust from left to right, or rather to adjust it maybe a little further and so on. And so there is a few holes that I've made here so that I could easily slide this 3/4 nut. And I will have two. And for it to slide both ways is I put this metal bracket here, and I've put those metal washers on the other side, so that this plastic bracket, if you want to find out where I found the plastic bracket, it's really by chance. I ordered a gym equipment and it was packed with this bracket on the corners, and I don't throw anything away. My wife sometimes thinks it's a problem, but actually, as we can see here, it's actually a blessing. And as you can see, I can adjust it also on the height if needed, but I think this should be the good height. And I won't know until I install it, because now I find it too early. I don't want to bother my neighbors with my Halloween decoration, since this is a pretty heavy duty Halloween decoration with the post, and I don't think it's going to have a good wife acceptance factor on top of it. So this is it. Problem solved with welding, and I hope that this will be problem solved with the adjustments of the rollers up and down and sideways like this. So when I find my sweet spot, I'll be able to push this all the way down and put a nut underneath so that it stays in place. And once this is in place, it will hold very, very still. So those are the changes for 2024. Please don't hesitate to add a comment in order to contribute to the discussion. Maybe you have some suggestions on how to make this prop even better and more reliable. So please do not hesitate. I will post a video eventually on the making of this lovely ghost, and also on the outcome after Halloween. So all the best and happy haunt, everyone, and thank you so much for watching all the way up until the end. Take care.